Bring in show music, please.
Hi, I'm CNBC producer Katie Kramer. Today on Squawk Pod, Doug McMillon, departing chief executive of Walmart, on the economy and consumer habits.
We're benefiting from some share gains. People with higher income levels are shopping with us more often and have been for a while.
Plus, what he has planned after leaving the country's largest brick-and-mortar retailer.
I've never had a blank calendar, and I've now seen what one looks like in a few months, and it's kind of exciting.
Then conservative cable news raconteur Scott Jennings on the business of conversation in today's media.
I think Americans are hungry for debate, and they love it.
And yes, we are still talking about the fight for Warner Brothers Discovery.
Having talked to people around the transaction on the Warner side, their view was Netflix was a more stable buyer.
After Paramount's David Ellison put in a hostile bid for the legacy entertainment assets.
Willy Wonka would, Daddy, I want this. I want it now.
How do you know it's not Larry Ellison himself saying, I want this?
Could be.
It's Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. Squawk Pod begins right now.
Stand Becky by in 3, 2, 1. Cue, please.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Squawk Box right here on CNBC. We're live from the Nasdaq market site in Times Square. I'm Becky Quick along with Joe Kernen and Andrew Ross Sorkin. Walmart will begin trading on the Nasdaq today. It's going to become the largest ever public company to switch its listing to a different stock exchange. It's been trading on the NYSE since 1972, I believe. Massive company, a big switch, and we're going to hear a lot more about this coming up.
Welcome home.
Welcome home to the Nasdaq. By the way, the blue carpet is already rolled out out front.
I was told not to walk on it as I was walking in this morning.
Those are for VIPs only.
I threw a hissy fit because I was coming in and I said, this should be red. Okay.
No, Walmart's blue.
For me, no, for me.
Oh, no, for you, yeah.
No,
but Walmart's blue, the Nasdaq's
Walmart is blue, yes.
So that's
I walked on it, but while they were trying to adjust it too. Is that what you did?
No, I had the security. They said, you can't walk on that carpet. I said, how am I going to get inside the building?
Anyway, they're rolling out the blue carpet. We're getting them welcome ready for Walmart. We've got a lot more to talk about with this. And in the next hour, we'll actually be joined by CEO Doug McMillon. He is set to hand over the reins to John Furner for Walmart on February 1st. It's been a long time coming. Stock's done an unbelievable job under Doug's leadership. It's up by more than 330%.
And it's not just like with everything else. No. Because many other competitors.
Retailers have not done this. In fact, the stock's actually trading.
I was looking
like
at Procter & Gamble yesterday. A lot of the major companies have not done it.
Oh, I should say, since he took over 356 percent.
That's what the guy was saying. He said someone came in and said, don't you know who I am? When they were trying to walk on the blue carpet. Was that you? Did you really?
No, that was you as they were trying to adjust the carpet and you were stomping on it.
President Trump saying Nvidia is now going to be allowed to ship its H200 AI chips to approved customers in China and other countries on the condition that the U.S. gets a 25% cut of sales. In a post on Truth Social, the president saying China's President Xi Jinping responded positively to that idea. He also said the same conditions will apply to chips from AMD, Intel, and other unnamed American companies. The H200 is not Nvidia's best chip, but is higher performing than the chips that the company currently is allowed to sell in China. And President Trump saying that higher grade semiconductors like Nvidia's Blackwell and the yet to be released Rubin are not part of this deal. In a statement to CNBC, an Nvidia spokesperson saying, quote, offering H200 to approved commercial customers vetted by the Department of Commerce strikes a thoughtful balance that is great for America.
I guess if you want to look at all of the different angles of this is basically the constant back and forth that this administration is dealing with President Trump being either the commander-in-chief and defender of the nation or the chief CEO of the country. Part of these are done on business deals, part of these are done on safety and defense, and I think there's a lot of questions that can be raised on both sides. This kicked off when he started his move for tariffs. People thought, okay, this is a business deal, but then it does raise national security issues when you're going to shake up the relationship with the largest.
Here's the industrial policy head again. If you can just suspend any worries about state-run enterprise and slip sliding into some type of industrial policy, there's a way you can say, great, to get 25%. And we want to tax companies. You know, everybody wants to tax companies that doesn't like this. They're the same people that wish we could raise the corporate tax rate. So, you know, it's a different way, and it's not, obviously it's not the same, but
it's weird.
It is weird.
I think the issue is if it wasn't being done in the context of the national security issue, that you could take that off the table.
No, it still wouldn't be okay with the purists. Well, with most conservatives.
It wouldn't be, but I'm just saying what makes this uniquely complicated is there's a group of people in Washington and beyond that think that these chips should not be allowed to be sold.
Right.
And by the way, prior to this, it wasn't allowed to be sold, and it appears now it's only allowed to be sold because the government gets to take a quote vig. Well, right? That's
it does not include Blackwell and the newer chips beyond that.
But then you'd say that we're going to use the proceeds to toughen up our defenses and further our own AI dominance if we have that right now, and you'd say that's what we're going to use it for, is to try to compete more effectively.
You're telling me that the revenue...
No, I'm not saying to compete better, but how is it? You could say that we're going to use it to bone up the government. Could say we're going to use that to increase security in our fight against China.
No, but they haven't.
Well, we don't know what.
But I will say
they haven't got the money yet.
There's the alternate view that Nvidia's CEO Jensen Huang and others have pushed. That is, if we are not selling any of our chips to China, we are going to lose out in the long term on this entire relevance of American technology. That's their other concern that goes along with it. Now, there is a movement afoot in Congress to say that you can't sell any. There's a co-sponsored bipartisan bill that would say you can't sell any of these chips. I don't know what kind of success rate it has. There's potential for that to move through Congress. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, from the Nvidia perspective, Nvidia had said that they wrote China sales to a zero. So any upside they get from this would be pure upside for Nvidia or the other chips makers. Right. But there's a lot of confusion around it. There's a lot of questions about what China or what Congress may or may not do. And then, by the way, there's the question of whether China even wants these chips. Because when they said that they could have the H200 chips, Xi Jinping was like, yeah, no thanks. We don't want them.
Well, we're running as fast as we can as a country to try and stay ahead of China, but sooner or later, does 2.5 billion people beat 400 million or whatever it is? I mean, we're trying. We've got a lot of innovation. We've got very talented people. We have a lot of talented people from China here, thank God. But I don't know. At some point, do we lose dominance? I mean, look at history. People usually only last a couple of hundred years as the top.
Now, I thought you told me about American exceptionalism.
I'm telling you that, but it's against 2.5 billion very talented, hardworking people. I don't know whether this was a no-brainer, but from the very beginning, where's Paramount? Where's Ellison? What's going to happen? This was never, I don't think this was ever in doubt when you got a father like that. We're hearing from Netflix management about the company's deal for the film studio and streaming assets of Warner Brothers Discovery. Here's Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos at a UBS conference yesterday.
We have a deal done, and we are incredibly happy with the deal. We think it's great for our shareholders. We think it's great for consumers. We think it's a great way to create and protect jobs in the entertainment industry. We're super confident we're going to get it across the line and finish.
After CNBC's interview with Paramount Skydance CEO David Ellison, after his company launched a hostile bid to buy all of Warner Brothers Discovery, here's Ellison talking about what he's talking about with his communications that he had with CEO David Zaslav.
The last I had with David Zaslav is I made it incredibly clear in text message, this is all going to be public for everybody to see, that we addressed all of the issues that they asked for, and very specifically that our offer was not best and final. And so when we literally delivered a $30 per share all-cash offer, we never heard back.
And speaking yesterday about the fight for Warner Brothers Discovery, President Trump said he'd like to see the competing companies' market percentages. There's different things to look at, obviously, streaming and everything else. He said none of the key players involved are particularly good friends of his, but he's known to be close with Ellison's father, Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison. Paramount also revealing in an SEC filing its bid is being backed in part by Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner.
I mean, that makes this whole thing that much more complicated.
Yeah, and Saudis and Middle East money. And I think
would CFIUS actually review this? They're trying to make it so that CFIUS won't review it by saying that they're going to be passive investors in all of this. I mean,
I think a lot of people, the home of Casablanca and other, just storied American franchises, they don't want it going to Netflix, which doesn't, might not even put it in theaters. But then on the other hand, they're worried about, Barry Weiss
and the political implications.
For me, that it just puts that back on the table, which I just think is so good.
Consolidation.
Barry Weiss could be running CNN.
But consolidation in the entertainment industry is bad for Hollywood. Fewer numbers of these buyers to be around to buy some of these studios.
This is with
and by the way, they've all talked. Paramount Skydance has talked about the consolidation too. It was very interesting what he said to David Faber yesterday.
Either Comcast or Paramount, you can imagine, would have had great cost-cutting synergies. More, maybe
when you
even
consolidate,
more,
you're going to have
Netflix.
You're trying to look for cheaper ways to do this and more cost-effective ways to do these things. But what Ellison said to Faber yesterday was pretty interesting from the perspective. He said he had a text that he had sent directly to Zaslav, David Zaslav, saying $30, and we're backing this up. Basically, the Ellison family is backing this up. David did push him on that on some points, but also said that this is not our best and final offer.
Right, which also suggests, if that's true, what kind of bid are we ultimately going to get at Paramount?
That's why the stock was up.
This is not the end.
The stock was up 9% yesterday.
Having said that, they still had to ante up an extra $2.8 billion
right, that's
just to even play in this game this time
Which isn't that much when you're talking $80 billion.
Well, he was saying, I think, $18 billion more in cash was his point on this, because their bid is all cash.
Well, he's also saying that if you try to value the Discovery stub, those things, that there's no way it's $2 to $4. And David Ellison used Versant's cash flow and valuation to say that it's worth $1 at most. So if you add it all on, it doesn't even get to 30, he's saying. But for whatever reason, I'm thinking about Zaslav.
You can't take Netflix stock and say that that's a zero. Zero that out with.
And that's collared.
Yeah,
also.
That's right. It is collared.
Collared, but at this point, I'd prefer cash. I'd love my 30, and it's probably more than. Could it be 30, 35? In either way,
35. You probably just gave them a heart attack.
I know, but Zaslav is looking like now he's just like boo doo doo doo. I mean, I know he'd like to stay with Netflix and be Warner Brothers studio chairman.
If he can get a real auction going, which is clearly what's now happening, so it's working.
Auction. Yeah, it's like it's working. Bidding war. It is.
It's working. Part of the rationale, having talked to people around the transaction on the Warner side, was that their view was they thought that Netflix was a more stable buyer, meaning somebody who's going to close the deal. It's a $400 billion company. You know that they can pay the money.
Right.
And not that the Ellisons, by the way, which have an extraordinary amount of money, can't, but that it's different when you're dealing with a big sort of corporate buyer on one end and when you're dealing with a personal buyer on the other. Someone said to me, are we doing business with Elon Musk, in which case we could be in litigation for the rest of our lives to get, either the breakup fee back or if something goes wrong. It's just it's two different animals.
Well, you probably need more than a text to guarantee that you're backing this up.
Matt Bellany's he said it's like Verushka in Willy Wonka with Daddy, I want this. I want it now. Went back to that's terrible. Went back to Daddy, I want this. It would be cool.
How do you know it's not Larry Ellison himself saying, I want this?
Could be, but that doesn't seem
Wait a
right.
second.
It also, for me, harken back a little bit to Edgar Bronfman Jr., who wanted to get into that business. I would like to be in charge of Paramount and Warner Brothers. I would love that. I'd be, going to Chasen's. I don't know, that might be closed by now, but I'd be the Bel Air Hotel. I'd be strutting around. Would you? Well, you would love that. You do that now. You can have a book deal and a movie deal. You're already there.
Gotta get
you got a nice tux. Do you have a nice tux for the Academy Awards?
I've been amortizing my tux for many years now. And
You've been, haven't you? Have you been?
He has. He went
you've been. Yeah.
He went for.
And you've
had years ago.
Did you give a speech?
No, we didn't win. You're talking about at the Oscars?
Yeah,
no,
not
the
Oscars. I want to hear your speech to see if you
Emmys.
mentioned Joe and Becky. That's what I want to see.
I've given a whole bunch of speeches recently where you guys have been involved in the
30th anniversary.
Tease will be next.
Coming up next on Squawk Pod, Walmart CEO Doug McMillon joins us in a rare on-set appearance. He is set to leave the job early in the new year as artificial intelligence joins deals in the Walmart aisles.
If you think about all the things that people love about shopping, we have the opportunity to increase those and invent new ways to shop. If you're browsing for fun, it may look more like TikTok. If you're replenishing, it looks more efficient. If you're searching for one item, it's helpful in precision. If you're planning an event, like a birthday party or something, it's better at that.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Squawk Pod. Here's Becky Quick.
Up and Becky, Q.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Walmart ringing the opening bell today at the Nasdaq as the company transitions its shares to this exchange from the NYSE. Joining us right now ahead of his departure from his role heading the company in January is Doug McMillon. He is Walmart's CEO. And Doug, thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
We got so much to talk about, not a lot of time. So let's jump in right away with why you're making this move to the Nasdaq. That's a really big deal. It's the biggest company that's ever moved to the Nasdaq from the NYSE. What happened?
Yeah, there are a lot of factors. The team went through a rigorous process to sort that out. I think things like the cost to list and trading execution, things like that matter. But in this particular instance, the ability to participate in the Nasdaq 100 and to be associated with the brand of Nasdaq, given the progress the company's made as it relates to technology, is kind of what rose to the top. Yeah, Walmart's changed a lot, and we're trying to make sure everybody knows it.
Walmart's changed a lot under your leadership over the last 11 years. It has been a really huge transformation, I'd say, in the company. The shares up 350 plus percent, I think 355% since you took over there. Why are you stepping down now? Why are you leaving? You're not even 60 years old yet.
I don't know if I'm young or I'm old. I get a little confused about that from day to day. But I think when you see somebody, thank you. When you see somebody who's ready to run the next lap better and faster than you are, it's time to hand the baton and get out of the way and just cheerlead. And that's what's happening. I had a great opportunity to do this job for a long time, and I'd like to see that happen for the next person.
Except for
John's ready to do
wisdom and experience, though. Right? I know he might run faster, but
John's been with the company for more than 30 years. He's 8 years younger than I am, but he's done everything. Huh? Yeah, that's
you want to live, I guess. Probably that might have.
Living sounds like a good idea, but I was loving what I was doing. Right. Too. I mean, this is a great situation. It's really ideal. John's done all the jobs in the company: merchant, operator, sourcing. Worked in all three segments. His dad worked at the company. He met Sam Walton when he was a kid. He met his wife at Walmart, loves the company, loves our associates, and has a vision for the future. And with what's happening with AI, I could start this next big set of transformations with AI, but I couldn't finish it.
Well, that's really interesting. I mean, this is the only job. He sounds very much like he's got the same CV as you. You started out, I think 1984 was your first job with the company, and that was a summer job where you were unloading trucks at the warehouse, but you've been there your entire career, too.
Yeah. There's a bunch of us. Like if you walked the hallways and you met the people in our stores, you'd find a bunch of associates that have been there for a long time that really care about the business and also willing to change. When I look back on what's happened on this decade plus, one of the things I'm really proud of is that our associates at store level, Sam's Club, distribution centers, home office, leadership, they've all stayed true to the purpose, values, and culture of the company, but they've been willing to change in a lot of different ways, and it's worked. You can't get growth without change.
When did you start thinking about this? And it's so interesting because there are a bunch of CEOs, we don't need to say their names, who like to stay at the party. And even when they leave, they like to come back to the party. But for some reason, we've known each other a while, I don't think that's in your DNA. What do you think that's about? So I'm trying to just understand, sort of, as you were thinking, as you said, 59, was it the last couple of years where you were thinking, okay, maybe
last year or so in particular, but we've got a great board, and Greg Penner's our chairman. He does a fantastic job. It's an advantage to have the Walton family involved in our business. And we talk about succession planning at every board meeting. And about a year ago, I really started feeling like this next run, you could see what agentic commerce was going to look like, the vision for AI shopping. And I started thinking about everything that needs to happen over the next few years, and it really caused me to think that now was the right time.
CEOs make how many decisions a day, would you say? Small, large, thousands in a week.
A lot.
How many employees? 1 million?
2.1 million.
2.1 million. So one guy, and we hear all the time, a CEO, what difference can he really make? I mean, I go back in time, I remember GE and Westinghouse were the same company at one point. One got Welch, one got some other guy. And there's a Target Walmart chart, and I don't want to pick on Target, but you weren't obviously the same company, but you had some of the same decisions that you had to make. Look at the difference that a CEO can make at a company. Are you going to write a book or something? What was the difference? I don't know about that.
I drew an ace off the deck. I came to see you guys early after taking this role, and we made a big wage increase. We invested in price. We started getting after e-commerce. We invested in technology, and we had the board supporting us in doing all that. Not everybody has that opportunity. It took the operating income percentage of the company down for a sustained period of time.
And Walmart,
and it's taken us a while to come back.
Down, right. And you had the support not just of the board, but also the Walmart
Not everybody
family.
has that.
But that conviction and that ability to see through it, everybody's copied your playbook since then. You were the first to do it. But everybody got around to kind of following that and saying that's the right way to do it.
It's been a lot of fun to do it with all these people. At this moment in time, as I look back on it, all the memories of all the hard stuff that we did together and the moments when we were really doubted, that's what makes it so sweet right now.
You've mentioned twice already the AI change that's coming to retail and how that there are huge things that have to happen over the next couple of years. What are those things? What are you seeing?
It's really exciting to think about what can happen. If you think about all the things that people love about shopping, we have the opportunity to increase those and invent new ways to shop. And we have the opportunity to reduce some of the friction like we've never done before to take out the things that people don't enjoy doing. We're building an experience that replaces the old app and website that's AI native, that's more personalized, understands shopping context, presents itself in a multimedia way. If you're browsing for fun, it may look more like TikTok. If you're replenishing, it looks more efficient. If you're searching for one item, it's helpful in precision. If you're planning an event, like a birthday party or something, it's better at that. It'll use video, there'll be creators involved. And we've started building that product today. We call it Sparky, and it will grow as we go into the next year. That's going to be a different front end for customers. Then think about all the stuff that's going to happen with better inventory management, all these investments we've been making in physical automation paired with data and increasingly intelligent software powered by AI.
But it's not getting harder.
To change the whole system.
That's not what it is. There's not clouds on the horizon. And I love John Mueller, and he did an exit interview here on P&G. But P&G, since he announced that he's leaving, we didn't understand it. He's a young guy too. P&G has. I wonder if there was something to the decision that I don't need this anymore or something. There's no storm clouds, nothing in the future of...
No, not in my case. And I think what you're going to see from the Walmart team is they're just going to keep scaling what we've already started, build some new stuff on top, and then use AI to transform it all.
Do you have any fear that AI will ultimately disintermediate a Walmart or frankly an Amazon or whomever? Meaning, I'll just have a relationship either with this phone or some new device that Sam Altman makes. And I'll say, I need toilet paper or whatever it is. And my agent will go off and try to find whatever the product is, batteries. But it won't necessarily care where it's buying it. It's just going to find the quickest one, the cheapest price, whatever it is. And the interface won't even be with a Walmart or a store down the corner or whatever.
We think the things that have always mattered will still matter in that future. Price, broad assortment, great experience buying it, whether it's e-commerce or stores, and trust. Those parties, whether it's OpenAI or it's other hyperscalers, still have to get the order fulfilled.
Right.
And it is more efficient to move a basket than it is in each. And there are complexities in how you do that. And having stores and clubs and distribution centers and now more fulfillment centers closer to people enable us to be able to deliver big baskets fast. Our delivery speed's going way up. So our strategy is build everything organically ourselves and partner with others to be at top of funnel. And we'll work out the economics, we'll work out the data exchange in a way where that experience can be better. In the old world, in the Google search world, we didn't quite get it done where it was magical. You couldn't get to one click through Google to buy a Walmart.
Right.
But with the new situation, I think people are beginning to understand that's necessary, and we're one of the few parties that have a huge catalog and the ability to deliver it fast.
That has been your hallmark, I would say, throughout your entire reign as CEO. I remember years ago talking to you, and you kind of pulled your phone out and you said, I keep a list of the top 10 retailers decade by decade to remind me that if we don't change, if we don't evolve, we die. Do you still have that? You still follow it?
Yeah. I was looking at it yesterday. Our team here in town, we have a fashion office here. We were talking about the fact that if you don't change, you die. And that's the reality of business in general, but it's certainly the case in retail. And I find that really motivating. I mean, one of the things I have loved about this experience that I've had is you've got a big team sport and a scoreboard and competitors. And that's made it a lot of fun.
I can remember a conversation that we had, and it was after a gun incident with Dick's Sporting Goods. And I remember you said, we're going to satisfy our customers and what they need. And I don't think you fell for some of the cultural issues that some of your competitors fell for, the wokeness, for lack of a better term. And I can think of Bud Light, I can think of Tuckett, whatever those things were at Target. That hurt those companies, I think. I think you've always managed from a Midwest or an Arkansas, maybe, point of view. Am I wrong there that you didn't embrace some of that stuff?
We serve everybody. Like literally everybody, every point of view, politically and otherwise, and we want to serve everybody. So our approach has been to be really practical, and whether it's the firearm decision, which we've talked about a lot, or it's some of the other decisions, pausing to think about how everyone feels about it, and then explaining to everyone a really common sense, practical solution to whatever the issue is, has been what we've tried to do.
I mean, you stepped up with the wage issue, and at the time I didn't know if it was right, if it was if it was pandering to the wrong, but there were times when I argued, look, Walmart shareholders for 30 years have been totally enriched. It's been great for the employees as well, but if you take a couple of basis points off margins to help with wage increases, couldn't that come back and actually end up coming back in spades? And that's exactly
what the work. We always say our people make the difference. And not only did we increase wages and have continued to, but we've got a cash bonus and a 401k and an associate stock purchase plan, and over 400,000 of our associates participate in that stock purchase plan where the company pluses them up. So our associates have benefited from the equity appreciation.
And managers
too.
can make over $400,000.
Yeah, managers do really well, as they should. So do truck drivers. One of the truck drivers is going to ring the bell this morning.
So here's a philosophical question for you. As we all have these debates, at least I don't know if they're real or not, but questions about capitalism and socialism and this and that. Do you think that the Walmart employee looks and says this is working?
I do, because there's opportunity. You know, I just as an American, I get frustrated with the debate that happens sometimes about which system is best. I still see people who come from all over the world in some cases, and they get a job at Walmart and they end up being a store manager. It changes their life. I mean, literally changes their life from a wealth point of view. And if you work hard, apply yourself, you can make it here and change the pattern.
What Sam built in his lifetime. I mean, when did he die? I mean,
1992.
So it's been a while, but I used to just marvel at this guy. Yeah. I marveled at what he built, what one man could build in a lifetime.
Yeah. That's only the fifth CEO.
Yeah, for the American dream. Tradition. That's why I think
we got to keep that going. I think part of the trick is figuring out what you want to keep the same, what you want to strengthen, our purpose, which Sam gave us, our values and culture, and then be willing to change anything else.
Doug, we know you have to go. You're ringing the bell, and you've got some things you have to do upstairs. But very quickly, can you just give us kind of a heads up of where the consumer is right now? What are you seeing? You all have talked about how you've seen people who make $100,000 or more coming into the stores. What do you see at the lower end?
Yeah, as we said when we released our third quarter results, it's been really consistent for us. Now, we're benefiting from some share gains. People with higher income levels are shopping with us more often and have been for a while. There's pressure at the bottom end. Inflation being low single digit right now helps a little bit, but it's on years of price inflation in some categories. Gas prices being low is helpful right now. So people are behaving pretty consistently, but there's pressure for those at lower income levels.
Yeah, I think in the store, you've seen 1.3% inflation versus closer to 3% for the rest of the nation. But that grocery store inflation, 25% over the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's a sticky problem. Yeah. Right now, we've got over 7,000 rollbacks in Walmart US, and our team has done a fantastic job of figuring out what to change, whether it's in food or it's in general merchandise, to try and keep prices down. In the apparel office yesterday, they were giving us examples of how we've been able to improve quality, change country of origin, move a factory, and end up with a better outcome. Lots of flexibility on their part, and they managed our inventory so well. You know, when this year started and we were facing this tariff situation, the biggest concern I had is that we would get over inventoried, but they've navigated that. Our merchants have so well.
I mean, with your margins, what are they now?
It's tight, like 4%-ish.
$905 billion. I hadn't looked at it in a while. You're going to be $1 trillion retailer. That's just just staggering that you can do that.
The business model's changed with income from membership and advertising and some of the other things we're building. The composition of the income statement looks different.
Yeah. Doug, you have been a phenomenal leader, not just for Walmart, but I think what you have done at the Business Roundtable and kind of speaking out for American values. And we want to thank you for that. I can't wait to see your next chapter. What are you going to do next?
I don't know. I'm going
We
to
think
ask
it's gonna
Shelley
be
what I'm
big.
supposed to do.
We think it's going to be big.
You don't
though.
mean CNBC contributor.
Well, I mean, I know you. I'm
That
working on
kind
that.
I don't want to say that much.
That kind of visibility. You
I don't
mean-
have that much to say.
You don't. Yeah.
I'll leave it to you. Seriously, I've learned a lot from you guys over the years. In the pandemic in particular, you were very helpful to keep us all educated, and I'm grateful for the role you guys play every day.
But you're thinking about what to do next. You're not going to do anything for a little
It'll
while.
be some combination of business and philanthropic stuff, but I'm going to take a few months. I've never had a blank calendar, and I've now seen what one looks like in a few months, and it's kind of exciting. And then we'll see.
Well, we hope you enjoy your time off, you and Shelley both, and we can't wait to see what you do next. We hope you come back again soon.
Thanks.
Thank you, Doug. We appreciate it.
Next on Squawk Pod, what the Supreme Court oral arguments about the president's attempt to fire a Democratic member of the Federal Trade Commission tell us about the whole Trump agenda, and commentator and author Scott Jennings on the president's message.
I asked him once, are you conservative or are you common sense? And he said, most of the time, conservative is common sense.
You're listening to Squawk Pod from CNBC. Here's Joe Kernen.
Scott Jennings joins us. He's the author of A Revolution of Common Sense. How Donald Trump, it's not on me, no one saw me do that, stormed Washington and fought for Western civilization. Welcome. Took a book to get you on here.
Yeah,
Nice to
I
see
know.
you, sir.
We have
Good morning.
We have an excuse to have you on.
Yeah, it's a great book.
It's a great book.
Just in
but
time for Christmas.
I don't know how else we would have necessarily had you on. But when did you join CNN as a contributor?
Oh, gosh.
2017?
Yeah, I've been there for 8.5 years, but the last couple of years has really been
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, bigger.
Renaissance.
It happens gradually, and then it happens all at once. You're
Yeah.
like people would say it's like when a business succeeds. It's like an instant success, they say, and then people say, I've been doing this for 20 years, and it finally happened. But you're everywhere. Is it you, or is it your ideas started to resonate in the current climate?
I'll throw one more factor in. It was the fact that we had a campaign that we were able to cover. You know, the 2020 campaign, the coverage was unusual. We didn't have the same kind of commentary, but the 24 campaign, we were all in. Plus the advent of this debating show that we had at 10 o'clock at night, the Abby Phillips show, and they gave a conservative a chance to showcase, what it looks like when ideas are actually challenged. I think Americans are hungry for debate, and they love it.
I saw something the other day, though, that does it take too long to explain to Abby Phillips the California loophole that allows Medicaid to cover illegal aliens? She kept saying to you, almost like a child, that no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong, nani, no. And all you had to do was say, look, this is the way it works, because money's fungible, and Medicaid money flows to illegals in California and other states, and that's a fact. You never did say that to her.
Well, first of all, it's not just a fact in California. It's blue states,
right.
And the Democratic Party position has long been that it's a good thing to give Medicaid
Exactly.
to illegal immigrants. So it's not really in question, and it's not really a controversial position.
You gave up. I was watching. You finally just said, okay, whatever. Here's the left in the current environment. I think it's out of their mind. They're out of their mind sometimes. But then I look at some of the things you have to defend on the right. Do you ever feel like you're in a position where there are times where it's uncomfortable to be an ardent Trump supporter? You never have any problem?
Look, I don't feel like I have to die on every hill. I mean, if something's going on that I think should be nudged in one way or the other.
You can only die once, right?
Yeah, that's it. Well, a good pundit knows that. And you don't have to die on every hill. And you can say, I would have done it this way, or my advice would be to do it that way. But I do think for what I'm doing at CNN,
oh my God.
half the country, 60% of the country,
God's work.
Sometimes 90% of the country needs a good solid defense of what's happening and how they're absorbing the news. I'm also one of the only pundits that comes from Middle America. I live in Kentucky, not D.C. or New York, and so.
There's times I dread coming in if we have an Elizabeth Warren on, or I got to deal with you or something. How do you go
Every
on,
day.
Every day. How do you go into CNN? You might as well be going to The View and sitting next to them every day. How do you do it? Do you like it? Do you like to argue?
I love it. I was put on this earth to debate. I'm a sometimes a pilgrim in an unhospitable land, and that's okay because I believe that
stranger in a strange land.
I believe. Look, we're in our silos, we're in our bubbles. If we talk to each other and we have a few more debates, our politics will be better.
Can I ask
for
you just talk about stranger in a strange land? We talk about economics and business all the time, and capitalism. And one of the unique things that's happening now, and we were talking about Nvidia, for example, this morning, and things like this. Yeah. It feels like there's an element of, or it might be described as state-sponsored capitalism, and everything is going through the prism of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue to some degree. And how you think about that. We've been talking about the Paramount transaction and the fact that, Jared Kushner's bidding on one side of that, and the president is openly saying, I'm going to be involved in the decision. I mean, there are these things that are so sort of...
It's a lot different than the Bush White House.
At odds with...
Yeah.
And sort of how you see that.
Well, look, I think Trump would tell you he's not conservative orthodox on some economic issues. Tariffs is one. Some of the involvement that he's had with companies is the other. But he would also probably tell you that I'm trying to do the common sense thing. That was the theme of the book. I asked him once, are you conservative or are you common sense? And he said, most of the time, conservative is common sense. But in some cases, he thinks he's got economic theories here that are digging us out of long-term structural problems that crush working class Americans. And in many cases, and this is throughout the book, he just believes he was put here to be responsive to a coalition of working class Americans that had really no politician fighting for them in Washington, D.C. So he's willing to exercise a little muscular executive authority if it means helping the coalition that put him in the White House.
It could be a slippery slope that allows the next administration in power to do even worse things.
He would say they're going to. He would say they're going to do it anyway. And
you're right.
That's one way to argue.
That's what he says about the filibuster. The Republicans might as well do it now and get some things done because they're coming anyway, and they may be coming in a year. You think they're coming in a year in the House?
Oh, I think it's 50-50 right now. I think Republicans will hold the Senate. That's my projection. But I'm still, look, we don't know the maps yet. You still got maps changing, the Supreme Court on the Voting Rights Act. And I still think Democrats aren't all that popular. I mean, they're still doing things that aren't terribly popular with the American people. And folks won't forget, they did dig a deep hole for Donald Trump to climb out of.
Hey, Scott, what you've done, which is try and take dialogue, take debate, take ideas, and talk about those things. I mean, I don't know that either party's leadership is really fomenting that. In Washington, it seems like neither side will talk to the other. 70% of Americans are probably in the middle, somewhere in the middle on this, and they want to hear this debate. They want to hear these ideas. They want to see people working across and looking for ideas. How do we get that back to a place in Washington? Because it doesn't seem like anybody's talking across the aisle.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I go around the country and I do a lot of talks. I hear two things. I love you and I love the debates. I don't care for you, but I love the debates. And the commonality is there's a hunger for debating content. And there's a demand for this in our politics. And people like it. And it's okay. We don't always have to agree.
But you're not bipartisan. You wouldn't be able to arrive at...
It's not about bipartisan, but sometimes the partisan debates
you
get
can't arrive
ridiculous.
at any consensus with the current
common
left.
sense.
Can you?
Any consensus?
Well,
any consensus with the left.
That's what I said. With the leadership, like I don't know how you're going to do anything with Hakeem Jeffries, but there are people in the Democratic Party who I think would come about.
John Fetterman.
I would say Scott Gottlieb.
John Fetterman.
I have a slightly different view, which is that...
I mean, Josh Gottlieb.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I
just saw Scott yesterday, that's why.
Not only does the Democratic base not want to debate right now, they're demanding that their politicians grind government to a halt. They shut down the government because they want to stop Trump from serving. And so, but I fundamentally am in agreement with you. The people would love debates. The country was founded on debates. And they know that's how we solve our problems. And so I think debates are a good thing.
Let me ask you a question. I interviewed Erica Kirk last week, the widow of Charlie Kirk. And we talked about debates and being in a debate, but not just being in a debate, also being a missionary. So there's one element is debating an issue. The other is whether debaters ultimately change their mind, meaning that you can win the debate and actually win over and persuade the other side. How often do you feel that you actually change your mind?
At the table? Oh, my mind?
Yeah.
Oh, I tend to absorb news every day, and so the things we're covering tonight may change tomorrow based on
absorbing news is different than changing your mind.
New information.
I'm saying that you don't change your mind.
I don't change my values, but when I take in new information,
gladiator behind enemy lines. That's what you are. That's what you are, and that's why your visibility has gotten to the point where it is. Because it was necessary, because it was 99-1 until now.
But it is possible to take in new details or new information and say, okay, this has altered my arguing or debating vector.
Can you remember? Give me an example. When's the last time that happened?
Oh, well, things change every day. Trump changes everything. When I wrote this book, I had to write it 5 times because things are changing with him week to week. And so I think the best debaters are the ones who stay current.
Well, with the president, is it you don't want to sacrifice the perfect or the good for the perfect at times? Aren't there times where what do you say? You agree with 70% of the stuff?
Oh, with the president? Oh, no, far more. Look, I'm a Republican. I've been a Republican my entire life.
Well, you just said he's not a Republican.
He is a Republican, but sometimes he's not conservative orthodox on certain policy vectors, and that's okay. I mean, I'm able to absorb what he's doing and give you the best argument for it. I'm also able to tell you why a Republican or a conservative might be uncomfortable with it, and I'm also here to tell you why a Democrat alternative would be a disaster. And so you got to understand all angles of it.
When you just say those words about Trump, do you know that there's 40% of the country that thinks you're absolutely out of your mind? And this guy has, just go down the list, rapist, 42 felon. They got.
I hear it every day.
The TDS is like it's a cultural. I think it'll be in history books.
Yeah.
What has happened.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, the reaction to him, it goes back to 2016. It's a question of legitimacy. A lot of people just have never believed he was a legitimately elected president, and that justifies a lot of political action.
Scott, I can't imagine. I see my own Twitter. You don't read your Twitter comments, do you?
Not often. Never read the comments, they tell you.
I don't recommend, and I don't recommend I read mine, but I do anyway, and I answer, which I really shouldn't do.
How much do you enjoy? I did his radio show, by the way.
Right.
We all talk about him being on CNN. This is like Mr. Radio. How much do you enjoy that?
I love radio.
Versus the TV piece of it.
I love the radio show.
So you were importing your CNN-style guests onto your radio?
Yes,
show?
and I
thank you very much.
He had a book that came out.
You imported a foil for you.
But we had a good conversation. Look, when I was a teenager, my first job was in radio, and I was putting on 2 things on the air: Paul Harvey and Rush Limbaugh. And so everything I know about radio, I learned from those 2 guys, listening to them for years, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, good date. I don't think everybody knows Paul.
Paul Harvey was a legend, but the man knew how to use words to paint a picture and tell a story about the news, and it was called Paul Harvey News and Comment, which I think is what people want to hear. A little news and a little comment.
For a civil war, or is there going to be some type of resolution of the fighting factions on both sides of the political divide today? Because I'm not optimistic the way things look. We're going to be okay?
I think we're going to be fine. We've been doing this for 250 years, and this is a great time for Americans to realize that things get a little heated, but we solve our problems through debate and voting, not violence. And
they just voted in New York City.
Yeah. They're going to learn, aren't they? sometimes you learn.
It'd be nice if we didn't have to learn that way, wouldn't it?
Well, it's not just New York. Socialism and the affinity for it is on the rise on the left right now. And so it'll be a good thing for us to debate in 26 and 28. I don't think most of America is going to go for it.
We were just actually having a conversation. Who, for lack of a better term, who takes the MAGA mantle in the next election?
Well, I mean, I asked Trump once who's best equipped to hold your coalition, and he answered me for about 5 minutes and never gave me a single name. Yeah. But it's obvious J.D. Vance is, if he wants the nomination, he's going to get it. And Trump obviously likes him and Rubio as a team, and he's aiming in that direction. I think they'd be pretty formidable. But it's hard to replace him.
Who do the Democrats run?
Oh, they're a mess. I don't know. I mean, they're so wide open. I tell you, though, they're a little about where the Republicans were after 2012, kind of demoralized. And what did the Republicans do? They looked outside. They went away from the normal party.
They were forced to look outside.
Well, they had 17 other choices. They picked outside.
He was coming down an escalator, and people were rolling their eyes. And
I know. And guess what?
You're suggesting that it's going to be somebody coming off in a different type of escalator.
I'm suggesting that when people are upset with party or party leadership, they tend to start looking around for other ideas. That's what the Republicans did, and they wound up with Trump. I don't know what the Democrats will do. I also think the energy in their party is with the radicals. And they held them off in 16 and 20, but I'm not sure they're going to hold them off in 20.
We're going to let you go. Do you feel like you've been in Paris now and you don't want to go back to the forum? Did that cross your mind? Now I've been to the mountaintop.
Yeah, I got my passport stamped over here.
You did.
I'm going to go back.
Come back.
My home country.
Come back. I can relax for a second when you're here. I like having you here, Scott. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, his book is called A Revolution of Common Sense. And yep, it's got a picture of
Go get it for
President
Christmas.
Trump. Yeah.
Conservative Supreme Court justices signaling they're going to back President Trump's removal of a member of the Federal Trade Commission. The court heard more than 2 hours of arguments in that case. It was sparked when the president tried to fire a Democratic FTC member back in March before her term was over. The court's conservative wing appearing to be sympathetic to the administration's argument that congressional protections given to the head of independent agencies infringe on presidential power. So we're going to watch it. It's a fascinating case.
But in watching, I didn't realize that supposedly the executive branch power has been increasing for a century, supposedly, and that this is not, because if they do come down and vote for him, you know what the rhetoric is going to be, that the Supreme Court's stacked and there's conservatives on there.
But look what it did under FDR.
Right, but they're going to say that they rubber stamped on because they're Trump appointees, some of them, and that's what this. But it's really been a movement that's been going on for years and years and years.
The question is, how important is it to you that these agencies have?
But they're in the executive branch, aren't they?
I understand that, but there's a distinction. The argument is, even if you're outnumbered, that having a Democrat or two or a Republican when the Democrats are in control on these agency boards, commissions, if you will.
But it's been by convention, not by law.
That it creates, hopefully,
some stability.
And better
continuity.
Better answers.
There's an argument for it, but it's been done through convention and not through law.
That's what the elections have consequences, and the president gets to put the people that he wants in charge of these agencies. Then in the next election, if you don't like it, vote for the other guy. He'll put all the other people in there. But it's the executive branch. I don't know.
Right. And
I think that's what they're going to decide.
That may be what they decide. The question that I would ask is a separate one, which is, what is the better outcome? What is the better outcome? Honestly.
Depends on whether
the extent that we just had
who's in the White House.
No, but that's the point. To the extent that we just had a great conversation with Scott about debating, about the value of debating, having even a gadfly inside the system.
I'm not arguing against it. I like it, but I don't know that you can back it up.
Should we have stacked the deck for net neutrality the way that was done? Should we have stacked the deck for these ridiculous environmental guidelines that we got in a different administration? We're back to the original argument of who's right about.
No, but it's not about. But the point is, we're talking about not stacking the deck. The point is, we're talking about there'll always be a majority, but you do want to have a minority on these commissions.
This sounds like an argument for the filibuster, which you want to get rid of. So.
Who says I didn't say I want to?
I didn't mean you. I meant you. You. I don't want to get rid of it.
And that is the pod for today. Thank you, as always, for listening. Squawk Box is hosted by Joe Kernen, Becky Quick, and Andrew Ross Sorkin. Tune in weekday mornings on CNBC at 6 Eastern to get the smartest takes and analysis from our TV show right into your ears. Please follow Squawk Pod wherever you get your podcasts. Have a great day. We'll meet you right back here tomorrow.
We are clear. Thanks, guys.